Were you able to hear Ram Nam?
Yes, Swamiji. Hari Om.
Okay.
Yes, Swamiji.
Hari Om to everybody.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Pranam, Swamiji.
Pranam.
Pranam, Swamiji.
Pranam. We were all blessed to have the soothing Ram Nam session now. So today first we will read out, share one email received. You know, for the sake of those who are attending today, we would like to share these informations. For the past almost nearly 1 year, 7 to 8 months, during Papa's Sannyas centenary year, we were making an earnest effort to have an in-depth study of Inquest of God with a prayer to Him to guide us. And so many things have been unearthed. And the most important one is that we should have our own self-originated prayer. So if the prayer goes along with Ram Nam, it becomes very, very, very effective. In the second chapter of IQG, Inquest of God, we found Papa, from the bottom of the heart, he was praying. And what was his prayer? Remove the I from me. And that was the second chapter, no? After the struggle and initiation, when he was made to think in terms of taking the final plunge, what is required is to cut off the bondage created by the me and mine. So for that, God made him to pray in his own words. We are all repeating somebody's prayer now. We are not bringing our own words. Every day in our Arati session, we are bringing this Prabhu Vishwanatha. And we know for ourselves whether it has got any deep dent in us. So Papa is telling us, he has given us a clue that we should pray, but that the prayer should be in our own language. Then only it will have its desired effect. So here today we have received one email. He is addressing to Papa, no? Very, very touching. Dear Papa, many years ago, when I first heard about Ram Nam, I was struggling to swallow it like a brick. As years passed, it slowly started to melt and soften. As we progress in-depth study of in quest of God, it slowly starts to integrate into me, or I start to integrate with it. Ram Nam. I don't know how to say it. Now Ram Nam is like a capsule. It's a capsule combination of jnana, bhakti and karma, penetrating into my deeper self and slowly transforming the latent vasanas rooted deep in me, which I struggled for so long. I may be starting to get the sweetness of it, certainly not to the level expected by you. Dear Papa, it is working on me. Please help the Nama to penetrate more and more into the depth of my latent tendencies and purify the self. And also please help us to keep the Nama in our mind when we deal with difficult situations and people around us. Your loving child. So how the in-depth study has helped him, no? And the words are so touching. As many years ago when I first heard about Ram Nam, I was struggling to swallow it like a brick because I had not connected myself with my life, you know. As a discipline, somebody says, nice to hear, I join, that's all. Beyond that, I have not integrated to my life. Probably this is the thing which all of us are facing. To us, we have not still connected it to our life, workaday life. Again, we repeat for the sake of newcomers. When Puja Swami Sachidanandaji as Anandashram came for the first time to meet some Papa here, and when he placed before him the then mental condition of his, Papa was sitting on the bench, cement bench, very near to the Panchavadi. And then Papa heard everything. Then he said, take Ramdas will give you Ram Nam, take it. So he made him to repeat 3 times, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Swamiji said he was thinking that he would say something more about it, but he kept quiet. Then he asked, can I stay? Not now, Ramdas will call you later. Having come, you can stay for a day or two, something. Even then, Papa was not answering any of the problems he faced. So he said, suppose when I go back and start doing Ram Nam, and if I get doubt, if I write, will you reply? Papa said, Ramdas will not reply. Swamiji said he was taken aback. So lovingly he was answering everything, but suddenly he became very stern. Then he patted on his back and said, if you get doubt, you should know that you have not chanted Ram Nam properly. So Swamiji told us, not that he did not have any doubt, but he cannot write. So he has to go within and find out how to make it effective, proper. This is what is reflected in this email, no? Nobody gave him any lecture. But it started slowly penetrating deep within. How does it help me in meeting the challenges which I face at my family level, professional level, social level? How does it help me? This question, if I ask, instead of seeking an answer from outside, if there is intensity, Papa assures us that the answer will come from within, through his own life. He did not ask anybody. He was relying purely on the inner guidance. Now you see, this devotee, Papa today makes us to hear from the voice, mind of a devotee. Many years ago, when I first heard about Ramnam, I was struggling to swallow it like a brick. As years passed, it slowly started to melt and soften. As we progress in depth of study in Quest of God, it slowly starts to integrate into me, or I start to integrate into it. Many of you know, or most of you know, that In Quest of God does not have any dictum, principle, tall talk, philosophy. It is full of episodes. Ordinary life experiences are brought out in simple language. But the profound ideal is kept deep within. This in-depth study enabled us to read between the lines and search out, how do I face this? For no fault of mine, somebody talks ill of me. I get offended. I also immediately retort, there is an answer. I have no faith. And how will I get over? Then I see a person who is balanced always. Then when I cry before him, he gives us the pill. Accepting all situations as ordained by him. Every challenge and every trying moment or stressful moment is treated as a test meted out to me by him to make me his wonderful instrument. These are all the clues he is giving. So he says, as we progress in in-depth study of In Quest of God, it slowly starts to integrate into me, or I start to integrate with it. I don't know how to say it. Now Ramnam is like a capsule. This is something very, very, very nice. A combination of jnana, bhakti and karma. So not merely a nama chanting, It touches and kindles the jnana aspect, the bhakti aspect, the karma aspect in me. Everything is dedicated to him. Penetrating into my deeper self and slowly transforming me. Removing the latent vasanas rooted deep in me, because of which I have been struggling, down-pulling forces, low passions, my fixed opinions, my preferences, my priorities, my rights and wrongs, my likes and dislikes, the roadblocks. And then finally he says, Papa always, talks about the sweetness of Ramnam. Even when the mantra initiation is given, we are making use of that talk, where he says, the moment you put the lozenge in your, you will start tasting the sweetness. Similarly, Ramdas is, the moment he starts, he is tasting the sweetness of Ramnam. Then he adds, anybody who chants should also be able to. If he is not tasting the sweetness, it is because the low passions are still dominant in him. Then he gives the example that a person who is having some kind of fever, when he is given this sugar, the sugar does not taste sweet but bitter. So then he goes to the doctor and then he gets the medicine, cure it, so that again he will taste the sugar as sweet. Similarly, we go to a guru and the guru prescribes certain techniques by which I try to eradicate all my low passions, and then the nama becomes sweet, means the remembrance becomes sweet. Nama is to remember him, Nama is not for anything else. Nama is to remember him. So his remembrance should give me the sweetening experience. So here he says, I may be able to start to get the sweetness, certainly not to the level expected by you. Dear Papa, again he writes, it is working on me. This is something very assuring. Please help the name to penetrate more and more into the depth of my latent tendencies and purify this self. Papa also says, Nama chanting with the right attitude, with faith and devotion, when we take up, it will purify us. Purifying means getting rid of the dominance of me and mine. Me and mine will be there, but the dominance will not be there. The me to we, the we and us will also be there. So while reacting to events and individuals, we get a balance now. We will not be purely guided by the me and mine. We will also be guided by the we and us. So please help us. For that, we have to keep on praying. By ourselves we cannot do it. By His grace, the Nama helps me to remember the grace. Nama helps me to remember what all has been given to me right from the moment I was a seed in my mother's womb. Nama helps me to reach the state where I feel peace and serenity inside and absence of otherness outside. So these are all the points that touch and kindle in us. We will go to the next email. Prayer came probably from the transcendence of one and only. We merged in Him, as expressed by Papa. Inspection of the house, inside, is going on according to the criteria you granted. All seem to be in order, going on its own course, that is, you are taking care of everything. Your child now wants to get out and close the door. At the same time arises the feeling to thank you for the relief, for the freedom, for the sweetness. Your child knows nothing, forgets everything, goes on according to what comes. Counts on you for all, and you never forget or miss to deliver. You are the only one reality. So please, do let him remember. He cannot be anything by himself. He cannot but think. Just listen to yesterday's Satsang, where I understood that in the call of the Lord, the door was seen from his point of view, whereas here the door is seen from the individual point of view. I pray, may this message come entirely from a pure heart, not from the tricky mind intellect, at your holy feet. He made me wait before sending the prayer to check in my heart whether it was genuine. Just got the answer. It was okay. Yesterday we were playing one video, Call on the Lord. There's a beautiful article of Papa called Call on the Lord. So from where some portion was taken, and mentally visualizing that we are standing at the inner chamber of our own, where He is seated within, behind the door, behind the veil, and we are knocking the door with Ram Nam. The intensity of the knocking is necessary for Him to open. And the moment the intensity increases, Papa assures us He will come out to the end, hug you, keep you in His fold. That was the video. So he says, just listen to yesterday's Satsang where I understood that in the call of the Lord, call on the Lord, the door was seen from His point of view, whereas here the door is seen from the individual point of view. So here also, the idea is that each one is trying to have a dialogue with Him. The in-depth study is instrumental in kindling this method. For decades I have been doing Ramnam. For decades I have been doing so many spiritual discipline. But when I am at crossroads, I find it difficult to accept the reality, reconcile with the situation. What is the technique, I see still the otherness. Please help me to remove this otherness from me. So, in some devotees' mind, he touches and kindles and makes. We have been requesting them to share with us. So nowadays, somebody is sharing. One more. The divine love can be attained by humbling ourselves. These are the first, when you go through the Inquest of God first book, the first book of Papa, before he starts the chapter, he introduces who is Ram. So here he says, the divine. It was about 2 years ago that Ram first kindled in the heart of his humble slave Ramdas a keen desire to realize his infinite love. To strive to approach and understand Ram is to recede from the world of vanishing forms. Because Ram is the only truth, the only reality. Ram is a subtle and mysterious power. So he gives us the definition now. Ram is the subtle and mysterious power that pervades and sustains the whole universe. Birthless and deathless is He. He is present in all things and in all creatures who only appear as separate entities due to their ever-changing forms. To wake up from this illusion of forms is to realize at once the unity or love of Ram. Love of Ram means love of all beings, all creatures, all things in this world. Because Ram is in all is in Ram, Ram is all in all. Then like that he says, this divine love can be attained by humbling ourselves to such a degree as to totally subdue our egoism, our self-assertion as a separate individual existence. So the question raised by him is, this divine love can be attained by humbling ourselves to such a degree as to totally subdue our egoism, our self-assertion as a separate individual existence. Is the whole thing means ourselves to be very polite? The individual existence, how can this be handled? Even though ego sense is lying low, it is pursued with how to be without individual feeling. Papa is not asking any of us to go without individual feeling. Individual feeling we have not acquired. That was also given by him. In order that his mission is carried on, he gives to each and every one of us a sense of individuality. And each one has been assigned with a mission to perform. We are not aware of this. But when he makes us to get in touch with a spiritual preceptor, he reveals these secrets. And then when we try to move along on those lines, it is not that the sense of individuality is dropped. Today morning we were sharing, the sense of individuality gets purified where the me and mine becomes less and less. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, from the kacha ego, it becomes the ripened ego. So long as we are embodied self, the sense of individuality will continue to remain. But previously we have been trying to live only for ourselves to satisfy the me and mine. But because of His grace, when we are touched and kindled and think in terms of Him, He makes us to come out of the cage of ourselves, and we also try to think about me to we. Universalizing in Papa's language. Think in terms of universal, not in terms of individual, he says. Talk in terms of universal, not in terms of individual. Do in terms of universal, not in terms of individual. It may be a tall talk to us at the moment, but we try to slowly bring in this idea. By bringing in a touch of love in all that we handle, by bringing in a touch of perfection in all that we handle, by bringing in a touch of gratitude in all that we handle, by bringing in a touch of dedication in all that we handle, we will be able to slowly move towards this. So it is not that the sense of individuality gets dropped. Sense of individuality will continue to remain as long as this body is there. But at the moment it is dominated by me and mine. But as we keep on going, moving towards the source of all sources, it gets out of the conceptual prisons it has created for itself. And try to move in a wider world. Just like when we see from the mountain top, we see how beautiful the entire scene is. When we come down to the ground level, we may not be able to enjoy the same thing. When we see from the aircraft, it is so beautiful. So that means raising ourselves from our present level to a higher level. At the same time retaining the sense of individuality until he decides us to drop the body. So everything, ego sense in lying, okay. How to be without individual feeling? Individual feeling will be there. Individual feeling gets transformed into a feeling for others. Where the individual feeling gets second position, yeah. This God has given us many opportunities, in our life. If we go back to our own life, it will be very, very clear. There have been many, many moments in our life when He made us to do this. Simple thing, you are traveling in a bus, you see an elderly man or a sick lady or a pregnant lady comes out, you immediately get up and give your seat, You are not bothered about your debilities. That is me to be a stum. Similarly, many things. Don't think these are all new things. From a nearby college, Nehru College, a couple of students came. They were working this NSS, National Service Scheme. So when they came to our room, they asked us whether Ashram will be able to help for some critically ill patients. We said, we can do that. How are you in this picture? We asked them. They said our scheme has given us a target to identify people who are critically ill in our area. So we went to the PH center, public health center, and meet the doctor to collect the details about such patients in this area. And a funny thing happened, he said. What was that? When we entered the room, the doctor said, sit. He was examining a patient. After examining the patient, he asked some questions. These boys were able to hear. How many are there in your house? What is your income? What is the income of other members? All those things. So after the patient, he gave some medicines also. Not merely a prescription, he gave some medicines. So these students asked them, doctor, your job is to diagnose and give the medicine. Why should you ask the personal things? Then the doctor said, I can give a prescription, but I should know the affordability of the patient, no? If he is only having 500 rupees or 600 rupees per week, and if I give a prescription, he may have to borrow, no? I must know his family background before I give the prescription. When I know that he cannot or she cannot afford to buy, probably I may be able to give them some sample medicines or give them something else. So without knowing the affordability, what is the use of giving? They will have, mentally they will be conditioned that if I don't take this medicine, I will not become all right. And they will not be having money. So that means it is not merely the profession. No? There is not a me to me. He is thinking about the welfare, the care and concern of some others. whom God has made him to get in touch with. He doesn't have to go and create the field. God is creating a field for him to expand from me to we, that he was able to do it. And he made the students to observe. And they immediately realized. That's why they remembered it and they explained everything to us. That means it has a deep impact in them, which will have its own positive effect when they enter into any field of activities tomorrow. Why we remembered, So these are all the things which are happening. It is not a new thing for any of us. The only thing is, this occasion like this makes us to remember those. Probably this dimension would not have come to our mind. At that particular time, spontaneously it came and that's all. But God is there behind it, He is prompting us to ask this question. And He is giving us the joy. So the sense of individuality still remains there, but at the same time, sense of individuality gets a different face, it gets transformed. Not that it is dropped down. Again, if you start thinking and parading before your life, you will get umpteen number of such examples where God gave us enough opportunities to know about this directly. Same thing, okay. So anything else for today? Prayer in one's own, that is very important. We try to now pray in our own language. So far we have been repeating the prayer drafted by somebody, composed by somebody, whether it is a bhajan, whether it is a prayer. And we are watching ourselves whether it has its own impact on us. All the Mahatmas, they composed this prayer from their revelations. When Papa wrote Universal Prayer, for the sake of those who have not seen, with steel pen, what came up in his mind, he gave it out. O Lord of the universe, O Creator, Protector, Destroyer of the world, I come in all humility to thy holy feet and surrender myself entirely to thee. He had surrendered himself entirely to thee. Then he brought it out in the form of prayer. We have not surrendered anything, but we are repeating the prayer. This is the difference. So by repeating the prayer, we have been watching ourselves 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, those who have been coming to ashram. As a routine it goes, at the superficial level it goes. I am praying, I am telling God that I am surrendered myself entirely to thee. Have I surrendered 1%, 2%, 10%, something like that? This question should ask, I should ask. So then when we take up this inquest of God, the end of study, we realize that Papa did not pray anything from outside. Everything came from within, in his own language. Self-originated prayer. Throughout, we have found that. So we are now having touched and kindled this aspect. We are sharing with everybody that let us also make a trial now. Prayer in our own way. Our masters have given us clues as to how the prayer should be. With that guidance, we try to draft our own prayer in our own language. placing whatever we have before him. Not that he does not know, but for our own sadhana we place everything before him. He is seated within, he knows what are the roadblocks in our life, what are our cravings, what are the down-pulling forces. Everything he knows, but still, as a devotee or a sadhaka, our job is to place it before him. Just like we read out the other two letters. So this is one important message. Prayer in one's own language. Papa says, O Ram, when thy slave finds thee at once so powerful and so loving, and that he who trusts thee can be sure of true peace and happiness, why should he not throw himself entirely on thy mercy, which can be only possible by giving up everything he called mine? Thou art all in all to thy slave. Thou art the sole protector in the world. Men are deluded when they declare, I do this, I do that, this is mine, that is mine. All, O Ram, is thine. All things are done by thee alone. Thy slave's one prayer to thee is to take him under thy complete guidance and remove the I-ness from him. And because it came from the depth of the heart, he could intuitively feel that the prayer was heard. This is another assurance he gives. That he has heard our prayer. That means when the spirit with which the prayer is rendered, it enables him to become one with the Lord. Otherwise, how will we know that he has heard? He as a separate individual, sense of individuality, prays to the power because of which the sense of individuality exists, and the depth of the prayer is so much that immediately after the prayer, the union takes place for a split second. And this prayer was heard. Ramdas's heart heaved a deep sigh. So this is the clue he gives. When the prayer is from the bottom of the heart and in your own language, seeking his guidance from within. Because in the first chapter he says, now from the narrow pond of a worldly life, Ram had lifted up his slave to throw him into the extensive ocean of a universal life, from individual life to universal life. But to retaining the sense of individuality, that it should not be lost sight of. The individual life, that means it was limited to, conditioned to limited thinking. Individual-based, individual-oriented life. From there, universal life. But to swim in the wide ocean, Ram knew Ramdas wanted strength and courage, for gaining which Ram intended to make his ignorant and untrained slave to pass through a course of severe discipline, and this under his direct guidance and support. He was not seeking guidance from any external source. This is another clue he gives in this in-depth study. He was relying solely on the inner guidance. That's why he said Ram intended to make his ignorant and untrained slave to pass through a course of severe discipline, and this under his direct guidance and support. So one night, while engaged in drinking in the sweetness of his name, Ramdas was made to think in the following strain. So these are all the things that prompted our friends to draft the prayer in their own. So we try that. For the sake of newcomers, again we will share. There is a temple an ashram in Tamil Nadu dedicated to Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Sharadamani Devi, Vivekananda. And there, when we were taken round, exactly like Jairam Bhatti, where Holy Mother stayed, there was a thatched shed and a photo of the Holy Mother. But in front of that, we saw a letterbox. So the person who took us around explained to us, so devotees, when they are hard pressed, when they are passing through stressful period, they come here and write letters and put it in the letterbox. They are free from the trouble, because now it is the mother will take over. And he also added one more thing. Whatever they have written need not take place, but they are happy that it has been handed over to the mother. So the moment they are... That's why Papa keeps on emphasizing that we should chant the name with the feeling that chanting the name of one who is within us and who is making us to chant. If this gets rooted, Papa adds, then the chanting becomes effective. Because he is making me to chant. If he is making me to chant, he must be behind my thinking, my seeing, my hearing, my touching, my tasting, my feeling, everything, So instead of bringing it in one go, we start with Ram Nam and try to feel that he is making me to chant. So then it becomes clearer to us when Papa says name is the link between us and God. So we become aware of his presence gradually when we keep on chanting the name. That is why he said, initially it was like a brick to sorrow. Slowly it started melting down. And when it became a part of me, it became smooth. That he is with me right now, behind his word, behind the action of the hand, behind the hearing. So that comes to us. So that means he is not a separate entity. He is not away from us. Mahatma Ji say that he is more closer to than the nails to the body. So Ramnam enables us to establish a proper link with him, and we are doing as he prompts us from within. He gave us the field to express ourselves. We don't have to run away from any field. Every field is given by him. So the only thing is we should know that we are doing his assignment, that's all. Papa does not want anyone to lead only a contemplative life. Papa always says this. He wants every one of us to bring this dimension in all the fields that he makes us to act. So no field is taboo. Nothing is to be avoided. Everywhere we have to bring in this dimension. To bring this dimension, easy way is to chant his name. So that is how the first person who wrote, the integration took place. Or it is still taking place. Integrating. Previously Nama was separate, I was separate. I am chanting the name. Slowly, it gets more and more closer to me and becomes a part of me. And finally it takes over me. So let all of us, while chanting, try to bring all these dimensions And Papa assures us that we will be able to move faster towards the goal. Anything else to be shared today? Everybody is keeping mum. Are they hearing?
No, from those.
No.
They can't reply back. You said no, connection has gone.
Oh, sorry.
Try to do this.
No.
The switch on yours, this is not coming to
You can't get it. I can try it here.
this. This needs to.
You are offline.
Wait, 1 second. No. 4 minutes, this has to pass.
But here it is showing.
You can take hotspot.
Mohan Mandir is there. No?
No net, but it is showing.
How many hotspot?
It is coming.
No.
No internet in Mohan Mandir.
Oh.
Yours-
ठीक
yours-
है
You
ठीक
can
है
take the hotspot. Hotspot also is not very.
No internet.
No only. Not that slow.
Now only it will come. It's hard. Press hard.
Not at all.
This came.
No, it will come.
No, connected.
Just come.
Coming. Not at all. Padma Chavan is telling, please answer my question. Padma Chavan is telling, please answer my question here in the chat. We are going to answer little late.
We should know the question.
She has not put the question. She's telling, please.
Yes.
Found there some.
Yeah.
Padma Chavan.
There was some problem with the Wi-Fi.
Swamiji,
Ah.
I need to ask a question.
Eh?
She has a question.
Tell me.
Yeah. Many times it so happens
Ah.
that we are praying, but we don't remember exactly the words of the prayer to note down and write.
You know?
We pray, but we don't know the words
We
to
don't
note down.
remember. We don't remember. To note down.
That is okay, na? It is not for showing to somebody, no. These are all some samples Papa gives us. Not necessarily that it should be shown to somebody. But when you put it in writing, just like, Ram Nam chanting and Ram Nam writing, it has got different impact. When you write, concentration will be more. Similarly, when you write the prayer, the concentration will be more. And you are again emphasizing the theme of the prayer while writing. Otherwise, one word just comes and goes. But when we start drafting a letter, when we start writing something, a little more, the level of concentration will be definitely a little more high.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to show it to anybody. But the practice of writing one's own prayer will definitely help.
Already somebody has sent the prayer to Tarak.
Somebody prays now, when will I go within and know that you are my only kith and kin? When will I stop thinking of my next meal? And when will I heal? When will I see you in everything and the name shall only ring? I know you have brought me in touch with so many saints and helped me purify myself by removing the taints. But please, speeden this process and make me aware of what I possess. I like that, Make me aware of what really I am, I have been projecting myself, even to myself, as a separate individual from you. But I know, my Guru says, you are basically, intrinsically, essentially, you are that. But I am not aware. My mind intellect does not permit me to go into that realm. Why don't you please step in, remove that, and make me feel your presence. I like that honestly what we feel, We are not replicating or bringing out somebody's view. Honestly, what we feel, it comes out. That is very important, very important. Because in the 4 steps towards God realization, to become aware of Him. First to feel is nearness. Second to feel is presence. Third to feel is presence in everywhere. And the fourth is to become one with Him. So the first step is to feel His nearness. How will I feel His nearness? So when I start praying, there is a tacit implied meaning that He is there. I have recognized His existence. I am aware of the relevance of Him in my life. That is why I am praying to Him. I am not praying to an outsider. So that is the tangible gain of praying. First of all, I assert to myself that He is there. He is there within me. I have been trying to see Him everywhere out. In deities, in temples, in ashrams, in Mahatmas, in saints. But it has not helped me to know that He is within me. Now a stage has come when He is taking towards me. So He is prompting us, pray. Without prayer also He gives. But now when He prompts us to do the prayer, why not we pray? And let not our intellect come and say, what are the things to be done, subject, prefix, suffix, conjugation of verb, this and that. No. In our own simple language. He does not require any formalities. Just like a child, when a child talks something, we may not be able to understand, the mother will understand, The very body language, mother can understand what the child needs. So similarly, when we talk in our own language, it need not necessarily be in the way in which normally we deal things outside, but it can be as childlike as possible, and then He will hear. These are all the things Papa is teaching us through these In Quest of God. And the last page, under the head of heart pourings, you will find it is nothing but a dialogue between Him and the reality, indwelling reality. That gives us the clue. Somehow try to establish your contact with Him. Not outside, not outside, not outside. So let us not bother about whether we are in a position to write or not. Praying is important. But when you write, you yourself will enjoy, then you tear it off. Anything else?
Yes, Swamiji. So when we pray, the sense of duality is there. And that is okay, because eventually we merge and the duality dissolves, correct?
Even after becoming aware of his presence within, we continue to have this duality because that is the only thing that will give us joy. Somebody should be there, no? That is why Papa says, even though Ramdas and Ram are one, Ramdas would always like to be the child or servant of Ram. Then only the sweetness comes. That is why he names it as Jnanottara Bhakti. The Jnana helps us to know that he and me are one. But there is no, it is dry. But if I have to enjoy the sweetness, though this is not the correct expression, but this is the only way we can express, I separate myself from him for the time being and enjoy his presence. So people like us who have not still merged in him, we need all the more, the prayer. Because we have always to remind ourselves of his nearness and his presence. So duality is there. Let us not bother when the duality will go. It will be the outcome of our sadhana. We don't have to bother. At the moment, the process is to develop a relationship, a close relationship with him who is within us. We have forgotten. Only the sense of individuality is there, within and without. Though we have heard so many things, we still don't realize that he is within. So we want to get that taste of his presence. So the method...
As Papa said in that Pahatecha Vedi,
Pahatecha Vedi Sthirani Shanti.
Sometimes we are separate. Dvaita Bhave. Sometimes we are Dvaita, dual. Sometimes we are together. Very beautiful.
Yeah. That is the only one which gives us joy, So, today let us that is the take-home message for all of us. That we try to move closer to him with the help of a heartfelt prayer. And then when we start enjoying the communion, let us see how he takes us to the next step. Let us not have any concepts.
Lastly, one doubt, Swamiji. Suppose God has decided to give me Satsang only after 3 janmas. Will my prayer, this janma, have any bearing, Swamiji?
Why should we bother about all those things? We just start showing. Let us be on the process. Okay. Why should we pre-assume that he will give us only after 3 janmas? When he is with me now. So let us not bother about it. He is within us.
Okay.
At the moment he is within us, expressing through these words, hearing through these words. So we have only to become aware of him. Let all other things pale into insignificance. Our only job is to put us on the process. The outcome shall come. It has to come.
Swamiji, you have taken us this long. You have held our hands. Whatever may the outcome be, but you have brought us at least here.
He is taking us, no doubt about it. Otherwise, the prayer will not come, Even Papa wanted us to have the taste of that prayer through devotees. And it is so touching. Every day when we open the email, at least we will get one or two, which we share with you all, so that it gives a why did he send? Why did he prompt it is not that the devotee is sending. God is prompting them to express the prayer and reporting to us, and so that we will be able to share it with you, apart from enjoying it by myself. Everywhere we see his hand, that is, he is guiding us, he is taking us, he is leading us. Let us also join. It's already nice to hear, nice to watch all these things. And again, I am back to square one, means I am missing the bus. But let us also join. So tomorrow we hope many will come forward with their prayer. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. What is that? I forgot. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai. Pranam, pranam.